Good morning, everyone. This is part of Stylumia CEO Talks. We've been inviting CEOs to talk about what is happening during the COVID period and also post-COVID. How can any brand or retailer can come back resilient and also be future ready? In that context, I'm super excited to welcome Mr. Manohar Kamath. Manohar comes with a very unique blend of experience, spanning fabric to online retail and offline retail. And this is very unique, and we would love to hear his point of view. And today, online being a hot channel where consumers are heading towards. Welcome, Manohar, and look forward to your talk.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, a little bit about my introduction. After my post-graduation in management, I joined Arvind Mills. So as Ganesh said, my initial years have been creating demand for denim fabric as a startup in Arvind. Kishore Biani was my all India distributor. So good context to people who matter in the current retail industry, because many of them were my customers from Arvind. So I spent about 11 years with Arvind in various roles. First, creating demand for denim fabric, then ready to stitch rough and tough. I don't know how many of you remember. Then we had rough and tough ready made, which was done in the like, for example, Coke business model without investing with the help of franchisees. So that was about, then finally in the garment division. So I spent about 11 years there. Post that, I spent about 15 years in brick and mortar retail in various roles. And my last role was as a chief operating officer for Shoppers Stop, where I spent about 8 years. Myntra, I joined about 4 years back. And Myntra, I was given a role to curate a house of brands business. And that's what I do. So I currently look after the portfolio of brands for Myntra and Flipkart both. I look after all the licensed brand opportunities, and I also had a program called Brand Accelerator, where we collaborate with the brands and drive them to success. So we are close to $1 billion portfolio now, and on a journey to build the largest fashion house in the country. So that's where we are, and that's my little introduction. COVID-19, first of all, let me ask you guys that all of you are at home and safe, and your families have been safe, and you're taking enough precautions to ensure that you continue to remain safe. Because at this times, it is very, very important for all of us first to focus on self and our families and ensure that all of us are safe and contributing to not spreading this disease. In India, how one event called Tablighi event in Delhi has, taken India's numbers out of proportion. We were told one event alone has contributed to more than 30% of India's cases in COVID-19. So the best way possible, therefore, is to stay at home, stay safe, and all the precautions that are required to be taken at this time. So we are dealing with uncertain times, and we have seen financial meltdown in 2008-9, and the impact of that to global economy and impact of that to our business. I was with Shoppers Stop that time, and we saw the worst year, the highest loss-making year in Shoppers in 2008-9. But there were great learnings and great opportunities, and what we did got us to delivering the most profitable year in the history of Shoppers Stop the very next year, which is 2009-10. So I was fortunate to be with that company from 2008-9 to 2009-10, learning basically what all did we do and did we do right, and how did we come out of the situation to produce the most profitable year. There are a lot of talks about how COVID-19 is going to impact economy and how we are looking at a recession. Somebody is calling for a Great Depression, etc., etc. Stock market typically, while it is an indicator, but is not the only indicator, right? You would have seen stock markets being down, but the economy is not impacted that much and economy has recovered back. So generally there are three kinds of recoveries that you can see. One is the L recovery, which means the situation is not getting improved and it is going, the COVID-19 cases keep erupting and therefore we are looking at an L-shaped recovery, right? L-shaped recovery means that, you will take 1 year, 2 year, 3 year to be able to recover across the globe. And that will have a serious impact. But with the kind of measures governments are taking in terms of lockdown and how responsibly people are behaving across the world, I don't think that that situation is going to be a reality. The other is the U-shaped recovery. U-shaped recovery is where we take a little more time, maybe 6 months, 8 months, a year to recover. But in that recovery, it will do some structural damage to the economy because many of the small enterprises are going to run out of cash. Many startups which are very clearly looking for constant funding to be able to cover themselves are not going to find enough funds. So considering all that, there will be some amount of structural damage and therefore it will take a little time to be back to BAU. The other recovery pattern is called V-shaped recovery, and the V-shaped recovery, you can see very clearly that people are able to control, and people, as whatever impact that you've seen so far, the recovery is also quite quick. That's what we saw in the earlier cases of outbreak, whether it is SARS or other outbreaks that happened earlier. And I hope that we will see a similar situation in India. So my hope is a V-shaped recovery, but we should plan for a U-shaped recovery also. So while you can be optimistic about V-shape, but it is prudent to also ensure that you have a plan B in place to take care of the U-shaped recovery. So what are the other factor is, will economy continue, or will the behaviors will continue to be the way they are prior to COVID-19, or will they change, right? That is one question which is there in all our minds. So what will happen? So according to me, it again depends upon the amount of time that we take for recovery. If we take a larger amount of time, the change will be even more dramatic. But very clearly, there are indicators for you to see, which means the consumer behavior, the business behavior is going to change. Many companies are realizing that the amount of travel that we did to say that it is an absolute must is now getting questioned. Do we really need to travel so much in our business? And therefore, can we think business very differently? And how are we able to now digitally engage with customers, employees, right? And therefore, what can change? Similarly, work from home environments have really produced great results. Right? Companies are figuring out how to engage people at home differently, how to onboard new employees, how to celebrate. how to get the best output of the people. So if this scenario gets played out well, what we are looking uh, forward is an office of tomorrow, where the amount of space which is required for anybody to run their physical premise will be very, very limited. Most of us, we may have the liberty or the privilege of working from anywhere in the country at any point of time. So while that was considered as a perk, or some companies went into it, the current situation might push uh, uh, for a major disruption in that field. Right? So similarly, many such disruptions you can very clearly see happening. One such disruption will be whether all the universities are now saying that they will do digital content. They have sent the students back home, and all students are engaged with their universities. Exams are happening online. What it means is every university in US or UK or Australia or wherever now have the power to be global without uh, in a flash. People who are joining these universities now don't mind to be part of those universities, operate or learning from their own countries. Companies who are hiring them will not insist that they need to be campus hires. They can be educated from anywhere, but as long as they have what it takes to be able to be productive in their roles. So business models are definitely going to change. I think one question is for all of us, which is most relevant, is offline versus online. What will happen there? So two things might happen. One, the COVID-19 lockdown, the way it is going to be getting out of our system is only when there is a phase-wise release. Or in the phase-wise release, what we are looking for is what are the economic activities that can be done without causing outbreak, without causing more people getting contaminated, right? So if that is the way forward thinking, which means e-commerce will be allowed first to operate, because there is a study which saying that one e-commerce delivery boy can help in 350 families being able to operate within their homes and not having to take a risk of venturing out. So if that is true, then e-commerce will be completely supported, and e-commerce will start operating much before the physical offline retail will start operating. People are scared and will remain scared, and therefore the amount of people who will step out to be in crowded places, that number might come down substantially, and that will take some time to recover. So what we saw with SARS outbreak, right? It really energized the Alibaba and their online venture to get into big growth momentum. That might play out in many countries for e-commerce. That's our prediction. It may happen, may not happen, but that's what we are looking at in terms of consumer behavior. What is very important for all you entrepreneurs, or all entrepreneurs like me who are looking for a P&L business, is to be very cautious and conserve cash. Right? Cash is going to be one of the key drivers of your sustainability and continue. Right? So if you want to continue to be in business, you need to be sitting on cash. So cash is very important. Figure out a way of managing cash, holding cash. Margins are not that important at this juncture, right? Cash is going to be more important. So manage cash, and that should be your priority. Second is, fortunately for most of fashion apparel which gets manufactured during summer, in India, because we are not a winter dominated country, our requirements of non-winter wear merchandise even during winter times is fairly decent, almost close to the summer numbers, other than some of the styles which are not being relevant to consumers during autumn winter. So look at your portfolio, look at in detail, and follow two very close things. One is ensure that you plan for conservative demand. The conservative demand may be anywhere 10 to 20% lower post August, and maybe around 50 to 60% of the demand that you think for, say, May, June, July. Right, the first 3 months maybe about 50 to 60% of demand, and post August look at it as 10 to 20% lower demand than what you would have planned. Get your supplies only for this demand, because there are enough opportunities that will play out in the market for you to do opportunity buys, to have a quick turnaround models in place, because the last thing that you would want to get stuck is with inventory, and therefore the brand, and therefore you not having enough cash, and therefore the business going down. So it's very prudent for you to plan for a very clear demand shock. Ensure that your supplies are for that demand shock. And if, for example, if the economy recovers really, really fast, have two levers with you. Have a very clear QTM quick turnaround model in place, so that you can produce at a much faster pace and meet that demand. And second is be very clear where the opportunity buys are. I mean, you would know, right? I mean, you would have heard that billions of dollars worth of orders from Europe and US have been cancelled in Indian markets, in Bangladesh. So there is a lot of such opportunity. And many Indian brands who are completely strained on cash, they will also be cancelling a lot of orders. So considering both, there is going to be enough supply which is going to be possible. So you can take advantage of that and produce quickly and make it available to the market. So preserve your cash, plan for demand shock, and ensure that your supply is for that demand shock. That's a prudent way to approach things. What will happen to our ecosystem? For example, what will happen to brands? What will happen to small manufacturers or job workers? Yes, both brands and small manufacturers, like retailers or like anybody in the business, are going to see the same trouble as anybody else. Labor, most of the casual labor which is working in these places would have gone home, and they may not be in a hurry to return. So yes, your productivity is not going to be same as what it used to be before COVID. It may be lesser. Your demand will be lesser. So what you will be looking for as job workers, for example, would be which is the brand which can give me consistent manufacturing, which can pay me on time, who has deep pockets, and therefore, so that is what a job worker will be looking for. From a brand perspective, brands are looking for either coming together through Retailers Association or CMI and saying that, hey, this time Diwali is going to be November 13th. Earlier, previously or previous years, we used to be conducting end of season sale only by July, end August first week. So this year, considering 2 months are gone, can we really go back to that schedule so that we can sell our merchandise earning decent margins, not having to impact the brand by over discounting, That's one thought process which is getting discussed. The second thought process which is getting discussed is, do whatever you want, but first get into mode of discounting as the season begins. Collect as much cash as possible in the first 3 months. And once I have enough cash, then look at how do I sustain my brand margins post that period for the next 6 months. So both ideas are getting discussed at retailers forums, and I hope that we will know soon as to what is the path that the majority would want to chase. And once that path is decided, I think it will give us more clarity on the way forward. So okay, I think I will stop here and I will take questions from any one of you.
Yeah, hi Manohar. I think this was wonderful. I think very, very practical and realistic approach to how one can handle. Just want to quickly sum up, what all you talked about, the kind of recovery that one could see, right? From the U shape, the V shape, the L shape, and what this poses as an opportunity in various areas, travel, learning, etc. And you also talked about the business model change that which will happen, and there are various possibilities. And the economic, the social impact of a delivery boy. I think that's a wonderful insight. How a e-commerce delivery boy can prevent infection for 350 families. It's a very well point made, and I'm sure now it's not only for e-commerce. Right now, the question is that can offline retailers also bring their store home? So it opens up a new possibility. And you also gave a lot of inputs to startups and small and medium companies conserving cash, and how can they handle the demand shock, and a recommendation for every part of the ecosystem, be it a job worker, be it a brand, or be it a retailer. That was wonderful. So we've got lots of questions flowing in. I'm going to ask you one by one in the order, and we also put it to vote. So maybe there are some questions just come later. It'll be at the bottom. There could be some duplication. Let me start with the first question. Are you seeing any specific consumer trends online these days?
Most of the online e-commerce is currently not operational, right? I mean, fashion, for example, is not operational. Myntra is only operating and selling some masks, right? That about it, and some essentials. So to that extent, currently consumers are engaged with these portals with different ways. I mean, there is a lot of content which is being played, a lot of games, so consumers are coming to online portals, engaging with us, doing very different things. But what scenario are you seeing now? As a consumer, you're completely focused on essentials. I think grocery business is big. I think Damani is the only man in the country whose wealth in the COVID times has increased. I think the net worth has become 1.5 lakh crores, and everybody else is impacted. So essentials, there is a big demand. Pharma, there is a big demand very clearly. When people think of short supplies, people can think of longer lockdowns, they stock up, and therefore that is what has happened. The way I'm looking at post-COVID scenario, which is as the lockdowns ease, definitely three things will happen, right? One, most of us have seen that our net worth is eroded by almost 50% in the last 2 months, right? Which means that you're not in a good mood to spend, but you are in a mood to save because your network has gone down. Second, there are talks about uncertainties about whether the job will continue, whether most of the companies are talking about furloughs, people are talking about salary cuts, people are talking about pink slips. So all this is in an environment is going to make people save more and spend less. But again, as I said, every sector will get impacted very, very differently. While the travel sector will get impacted the most, So international travel, holidays, etc., or even domestic holidays, etc., may not happen. So hotel industry may get impacted to that extent. Big ticket items in terms of real estate investments may not happen, or big ticket consumer durable expenses also may be postponed. But what I feel is, and what I've seen is, typically when you're not in a mood to do high ticket spend, you tend to focus on keeping your family happy by low ticket spend, which means, you know, you will indulge in food, you will indulge in fashion, you will indulge in beauty. So these businesses, according to me, should see a faster bounce back than the other industries. So fortunately, we are in the business of fashion, so we should see a recovery faster. Within fashion, again, the premium brands may see a slower recovery, value brands may see a faster recovery. That's because many of these consumers may start buying, you know, one level down.
Got it. No, absolutely. Post-lockdown, next question is, post-lockdown, we expect that the release will be gradual and zone-led. How are you seeing logistics of delivery impacted? Any plans?
Yeah, I mean, the first challenge is going to be getting the delivery boys coming back to work, and because government has told them that, look, even if you don't work, we will, companies will pay. And that meant that most of the delivery boys have actually gone back home. And so that is one of the biggest constraints that we're facing today, even at Flipkart, to be able to deliver the essentials. So yeah, we are trying to see how we can incentivize the team to start joining work back, and in a safe environment, joining back work and ensuring that we are able to help the country to be safer. So that's currently our focus, and it will take, as you rightly said, if it is you know, district level opening, it will take time for us to be able to cater to districts, because if the district borders are sealed and if the trade is open within the, it will be very difficult. So we are looking at how is the new scenario going to play out.
And absolutely, I think it's going to be a challenging time, even in from a logistics perspective.
Absolutely.
How do you see online and offline working together in these times? Because we see a lot of dividend in the online space.
If I'm an offline player, I will try and collaborate with omnichannel faster. So because that will help me to deliver from the physical space quicker, better, and again in a safe environment. And therefore I will collaborate with Myntra and or other online omnichannel opportunities, and put more focus there.
No, absolutely, it makes a lot of sense. And is that something?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that something that you are encouraging right now with your partners?
Yeah. So we have omnichannel capabilities. We have signed multiple companies. We have more than 150 partners. I think that is the best way possible for people to collaborate, and because then they don't need to move their physical inventory out of their retail spaces, but they can activate. For example, Mango, for me, in the Mango brand stores, I get more than 17% of the business coming from omnichannel, right? By our ability to expose that inventory to the consumer through Myntra. And therefore my store productivity is going up by that extent, and it's a wonderful thing.
That's amazing. 17% is actually, you know, a channels business. So you can actually create a parallel channel just like that. Awesome. How are you managing the demand contraction in your own brands, and how are you managing the supply chain and the orders placed? And I'm sure this is going to help anybody who's having their own brand.
Yeah. No. See, clearly, that's why I said, clearly look at it. I mean, we are in excess of $800 million business today. And that is a very sizable business for a private brand portfolio, right? And, you know, I should thank you, because you are one of the people who believed in the private brands. And, you know, the most importantly, the brands have been built brilliantly. I think the foundation that led by you guys have been helping me to scale the business. And how are we tackling it? As I said, okay, we are looking at a demand scenario with shock very clearly, that the initial months will be 60% and the post months will be anywhere between 10 to 20% shock. And based on that shock, we are looking at, what out of SS20 production that is not, can be cancelled, what out of SS20 production cannot be sold in autumn winter season, what out of SS20 can be received in August, September, October. So basically 3-phase strategy. One, to understand and say, okay, this is the cancellation that we have to do, because that merchandise is still not processed by anyone, right? The fabric is not bought, or it is not processed, or the order is not flown. First one. Second, to say that if the styles are not relevant for autumn winter, then we are saying that, okay, figure out and change the style and not let it impact the productivity of the manufacturer. So if it is a half sleeve t-shirt, I'll give him a full sleeve t-shirt. If it is the day wear kurta, then I give him a occasion wear kurta. That supplement demand or production capacity can be utilized. Third, what we are doing is facing. I mean, rather than telling the manufacturer that I don't have orders, this is a time I'm going to be with him, ensuring that I pay him on time so that his ability to manage his cash improves dramatically. So we would continue to pay him on time. We are going to encourage more and more vendors to use bill discounting so that he can get the cash on the day he's supplying us. And we are trying to work with him closely to ensure that his productivity over a period of next 12 months, we are able to help him with the best.
And that's wonderful. I think I'm sure a lot of supply side partners are going to be, very happy to hear this, and they would expect that more and more people do this. And going on to the next question, where, I'm sure there are a lot of planning and supply side of the business is going to be occupied in rescheduling, managing partners, etc. But, what about creative people, designers? How are they occupied just now, and any recommendation you have?
Yeah. So, as I said, we are ensuring that creative people are fully occupied. Two things, right? Better the product design in a competitive market, you have a bigger chances of selling it. Second, we need, if for QTM to be effective or opportunity buys to be effective, designer has to be working now and ensuring that all the product development piece is completed and ready. So designers are fully occupied, and also we keep telling them to think out of box at this time, if he has any time which is left, to figure out what can be the new business model that can emerge in designing, right? And this basically means that today your designer need not be working out of Bangalore. Your designer may be working out of anywhere in the world for your brand, right? Because the head designer will say, okay, look, this is the brand, this is what it stands for, and this is the core of the brand and do's and don'ts of the brand. And post that, anybody, whether he's sitting in Bangalore or Delhi or somewhere in Europe or US, can contribute to brand in a significant way. So those business models might emerge, but as of now, we are ensuring that our set of designers have enough work to be able to complete the product development process and be ready. Because we are saying that, look, as I said, we are expecting a V-shaped recovery, and we are getting prepared for that V-shaped recovery.
Very well said, Manohar. I think I can't agree with you more. I think it's a huge opportunity. Maybe the design area can reinvent itself at this point of time, and also getting ready for a positive and optimistic recovery, and also keeping a plan B, like you mentioned before, makes very good sense. And I would ask one final question, which is, You know, a lot of people look at, COVID as a problem, or, there is a cloud around. But as you rightly mentioned, post SARS, actually, Taobao got created, right, from Alibaba, which didn't exist before.
Yeah.
Now, it could also be a huge opportunity. Therefore, can you just suggest for the audience who can be a small brand, medium brand, or a big brand, or a retailer, what are the one or two opportunities which can emerge out of this?
See, any difficult situation will cause a shakeup, right? When there is a shakeup, which means the best will survive, which means, the guys who are able to survive have a better future. So it is very, very important, therefore, for any manufacturer, any brand to figure out how do they survive these tough times, right? How do they consistently innovate, consistently think out of box to be able to be one step ahead of the rest. Because it is not about you being the best, it is about you being slightly ahead of the rest, right? To be able to win this race. So, as you rightly said, one way of thinking about it is gloom and doom. Right? The other way of thinking about it is what am I going to do differently to swim in these troubled waters? What are the opportunity areas? And how am I going to think of my business very differently? And if I'm able to swim and survive, just imagine the amount of confidence that I will have to win through the rest of the years. For example, if I think back, I'll just give you some context to what happened in 2008-9 versus 9-10 in Shoppers. We evaluated everything that was actually done from a 10-year perspective and not making sense, right? For example, we had a catalog business with Hypercity Argos, which was contributing to 50 crore of loss a year. We took a call saying that, look, we are too early and it is not at now. We need to survive and therefore this needs to be cut. We had engaged in Desi Cafe and Brio. These were the two cafe chains that you had opened because, in store, otherwise we used to have barista occupying the shop space. We said, look, we are not a hotelier, we are not a restaurateur, and we are retailers, and therefore let's focus on our core and not let this disturb us. So we looked at all such things which were not really contributing to profitability and which were 5 years, 10 years, 15 years plan. And we said, okay, we can't afford them in the at least next 3 years. So I think most of us needs to do that. Second, we have to look at all costs again. For example, simple thing as a unit manager looking at the power reading in the morning and again in the night. That saved us 3.7 million units of power, right? Nothing else, just looking at what is the reading in the morning and what is the reading in the night. What was the, why we saved so much of power? Because what we saw was the consumption in the night when the store was not operating was almost 50% of what was used in the day. We said, how can this happen? Then we figured out every day some or the other brand was asking for permission to do some work at night, and they were given permission. And these brands would come, and so the one department manager is supposed to stay back in the store. And this department manager, for the sake of his comfort, ensured that this AC is switched on for the entire floor, because either you have it for the floor or nothing, right? And the whole area, because there was no switch for only that particular area for lighting, so the whole floor was lit and whole floor was air conditioned through the night. And people realized that, okay, they need to provide coolers for that area, need to provide only lighting to that area. And there was a saving of 3.7 million units, right? Also, very clearly that year Shoppers said that, look, there won't be a single job loss in Shoppers, right? So while everybody around you were actually issuing pink slips, Shoppers said nobody will lose job, right? That just gave people a sense of belonging no other actions would have given, right? People felt so good to be part of Shoppers, to say that, look, here is a company in bad times. It's saying that, look, I'm with you and I don't need to worry. And they worked extra hard to prove that they're worth, right? That helped us recover. Management, the top management above a particular grade said that, look, guys, we will cut 15% of our salaries for the year, right? And we will only get it back provided Shoppers becomes profitable. So what really happened was that became as a fantastic gesture from management to say that here guys, we are, the management, we are responsible. We can afford a pay cut and we'll take the pay cut. Actually, nothing happened. At the end of the year, everybody got their pay back because Shoppers delivered the highest profit in the history, right? Amazing. But that gesture told people, saying that here is a company which is thinking differently, because most of the time they've seen managements protecting their job and cutting the tail, right? And here is a company who was saying that, look, tail will not get cut and everybody will be safe, and we are the guys who can afford to take a salary cut, and we will be the ones. So I thought that for me was a fantastic learning experience, to say how you really win people's hearts, and productivity can be impacted without having to even ask for it.
Amazing, Manohar. I think, not many people would know this story, and I'm sure today it's going to be a huge motivation for particularly leadership to set an example. Apart from that, key pointers like, first survive and be the best in whatever you do, and you will be the one who will not only survive and thrive. Wonderful for your, your sharing your experience. It's going to be helpful to a lot of people in the ecosystem. And thank you very much for your time once again.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you so much. All the very best. Stay safe. Stay home.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.